All right, we're on part four of episode 51, and we're going to talk about the TNA Bound for Glory 2012 pay-per-view. First things first, I just want to point out something. One of the comments I got on the website was another person saying that I'm too negative about this kind of stuff.
You are, Tony. You're negative about life. Seriously. When that guy died in front of you, you just went, meh.
Well, yeah, he sucked, but
Yeah.
wouldn't that be horrible if that was true?
Granted, he was a WWE writer, but still.
That'd be terrible. But no, I want to point out though that I do harp on negatives when it comes to reviews and stuff like that because it's kind of the talking point. You know what I mean? There's not a whole lot that happens that's so amazing when it comes to TNA that uh, it ends up being like, wow, we really need to, I need to post a big review about how great this is and all that kind of stuff. It's typically just a matter of how shitty it is because I just don't like TNA and all that. But I'd like to point out also that the last pay per view before this was the WWE Night of Champions, and I gave that a 3 out of 3. So I don't want to, try to be argumentative or whatever, but I do try to give everything a fair review, um, as much as possible. So I'll try to be a little less negative when I harp on stuff for the people that agree with what was his name on here? Uh, So Woo Game. Uh,
So, woulda.
I don't know, but I do appreciate the feedback for people that do. He approached it in a nice way. It wasn't like fuck you asshole like a lot of the other people that post on stuff. So if you guys do agree with that kind of stuff, or you disagree, whatever like that, as long as you say it in a nice way, I'm perfectly fine with it, and I'll try to be a little bit focus a little bit more on the positives and a little less on the negatives. But that being said, I'm tired today, so I'm not going to put a whole lot of effort into that. I'll try to do that with Hell in a Cell. I even told him that a while ago. I knew it was going to happen. So let's get right into this. X Division Championship. Zema Ion defends his title against Rob Van Dam. I didn't get to see this match, and that's a complete error on my fault because I fell asleep beforehand. I hadn't slept for 2 days before that, and I laid down, and the next thing I know, it was quarter after 8. So I didn't get to see it at all. I don't like the idea of Rob Van Dam being the champion, but I can't comment on the match itself because, if you can't see it, you can't really run it down or praise it. Uh, but I don't know. What did you guys think about the match?
Yeah. It was one of those things where it was a custom Van Dam match. They still try to get Ion over as a heel. It's not working. Zema Ion's a twat, as far as I'm concerned. He should really be quitting the wrestling business because he just wants to injure people. And as far as I'm concerned about this whole match, it does nothing. Giving Van Dam the title does nothing to. It just gives him a title. That's it. You know. So yeah, that. Do I enjoy the fact that he won it? No, I don't.
Well, is this another
Hmm.
situation where he was given the title similar to Jeff Hardy? Isn't his contract coming up too? Are they just giving everybody championships to try to keep them in the company?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's sort of like they're giving him it because they can't really give him the world title. That's why.
Hmm. He doesn't deserve
And
it either.
he doesn't. When he was world champion before, he didn't have a very lengthy reign. And how did they take the title off him? Oh yeah, we took it off him by having him covered in blood somewhere.
Do you get a chance to see the match, Braden?
I actually didn't even watch the pay-per-view.
No, you didn't. Oh, that's my
No,
man.
I didn't.
What do you think
So,
about Rob Van Dam?
um, I think it's just kind of weird, Van Dam being the X Division champ, that they're gonna have Ion hold the title going into next year and have a long, lengthy, heel reign and then drop it to somebody meaningful at some point. Giving it to Rob Van Dam doesn't really do much with it at all.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
see no good benefit coming from that. It just,
doesn't elevate the division, doesn't elevate Van Dam.
yeah, yeah. It's like give him a title to have a title, and that's about it. Hey, well, what's he gonna do with it?
Yeah. Well, he's gonna drop it. That's what's gonna end up happening.
Yeah,
Then we had the TV Championship, Samoa Joe against Magnus. Nothing really special here. Samoa Joe wins via submission, which I like when people win by submission. It doesn't happen often enough. So
He actually got one by choke.
yeah, rear naked chokehold, right?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I hope that they keep feuding. But this is just something that I'm not a huge uh, fan of. It's blah.
Yeah, it's just kind of there.
Yeah, it's filler, and it served its purpose as filler. But that being said, it's just filler. It's not a.
And you know what? The fun thing about it, it didn't even do what the cruiserweights used to do in WCW. It never actually, helped momentum for the pay per view. It was just like, yeah, that's it. This was a match. Van Dam won a belt. Congratulations. I could have seen that on an indie show where it didn't really matter anyway.
Hmm. And we had a street fight. James Storm against Bobby Roode with the King Mo as the special enforcer. Not bad. I I kind of enjoyed this match. I think it was one of the better matches of the pay per view. I liked the ending with the beer bottle coming back into play. It's just a way to circle things back over. I'm a big fan of when you reference something and then you reference it again. I made a couple jokes earlier about a particular class, like a driving student class thing, and it was, I incorporated that into jokes later on that had to do with the same. Oh, they don't have enough drive. Oh, that's because it's a driving class, like that kind of stuff. I try to do that as much as possible. So I like when writers do that, and I like when wrestling does that. So as far as I'm concerned, you needed James Storm to win it, and him winning it that way, uh, good way to pull that off. And I'm very glad too that King Mo, even though he was kind of pointless, I'd rather have him be kind of pointless than to be the focal point, because I hate when celebrities come into wrestling and they're the thing that's actually getting all the spotlight on them. So having King Mo there, maybe it bought them some extra buy rate. I don't know. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it lost them some money for what they had to pay for him. But as long as they didn't really lose anything there, I don't think that they lost anything as far as match quality by having him in there. He didn't become the focal point. He was kind of along the lines of Ken Shamrock in the Bret Hart versus Austin match, where he was not the focal point the way that Tyson was with Austin and Michaels.
Or Shamrock with Bret Hart.
Hmm?
Ken Shamrock with Bret Hart. Remember when he was special enforcer? The whole King Mo thing was actually, it literally is a play on Shamrock with Hart and Austin. Don't you remember Hart was like beating the living crap out of Austin? Shamrock was a special enforcer. Austin passed out. Bret won the match. Bret started beating on Austin, and Shamrock basically gave him a suplex. You don't remember that
No, I'm saying
at
it's
all.
it's more like that as opposed to the Tyson thing,
Yeah, yeah, it's more like that. And as
where
far as I'm concerned, they're trying to get Mo over, which I don't think they're going to get the guy over. He has no personality, and he's one of those guys who's just like, oh, look, there's wrestling. Maybe I can earn some money doing it because I'm shit.
what
And
is
having James Storm say that he was like the best MMA fighter in the world, I even saw Storm not believing that he even said that.
hmm. I don't know anything about King Mo, so
Well, the fact is he's
Neither do
working
I.
from a back end organization that's not the UFC. So
hmm. What did you think about the match quality itself, though?
I liked it. There was an all-out brawl. I love the fact that James Storm won. I feel that it was a bit overkill in terms of the thumbtacks and everything like that. There was no need for it.
The thumbtacks were a little weird. Yeah,
It,
that kind of
it,
came out of nowhere.
yeah, it was sort of like they were just going overkill on the match to say, "Oh, look, we're going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at each other." Uh, it, it was like, yeah, well, do you really need to do that? Do you?
Well, to be fair, they were selling almost like a year's worth of pent up frustration and anger and hatred towards one another.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
but
you?
you could have easily just done, okay, this is what I'm going to do with this. I'll put him, say, for the world title and have, because the way I would have booked the match, and there is going to be another rewriting the book coming, guys. I'm going to be shooting it tomorrow. Of I would have had Rude versus Storm for the World Heavyweight Championship. What should have happened with Storm ultimately winning it and having the payoff for their feud. This payoff is a bit of an empty one, and I understand they're like, oh, pent up frustration, they hate each other, vile, blah 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 blah. But in the end, it doesn't really do anything to elevate the guys. Rude's going to go on to feud with Jeff Hardy and probably win the title back.
Probably.
What's Storm going to be doing?
Maybe taking another leave of absence.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for either guy. What I would have liked to have seen is if they just put the two feuds together and had it in a fatal four-way for the pay-per-view, but that's neither here or there because I'm not on the TNA booking committee, because if I was, I probably would have scrapped the show and start from the beginning. Yeah, that's me. I felt it was a great match. It was a bit overkill, but they could have done. They did all they could with it, with what they had. So, and I'm glad they focused on Storm and Rude instead of focusing on that piece of shit King Mo.
Then we had Joey Ryan against Al Snow. I did not like this, and that's because to me, if you want to give a push to somebody like a Joey Ryan, go ahead and do it. It's perfectly fine, but you don't do it on your supposedly biggest show of the year against somebody like Al Snow. Now, if it was Joey Ryan needed to get Sting, he needed to fight Sting and his Hall of Fame thing tied into it or something like that, then it kind of qualifies. But Al Snow's just Al Snow. I mean, his highlight was
carrying his head around
the Attitude Era of WWE, and even then, he was like lucky to be the hardcore champion. I like Al Snow, but he's not somebody who you can turn to as a legend when it comes to like, we'll bring the legend back and we'll have the young guy feud with him and that'll put the guy over. He's not a Roddy Piper. He's not a Shawn Michaels or anything like that. He's just an Al Snow. It's kind of like when you have Goldust come out and feud with somebody. They're basically on par with each other.
What Tony's saying, I'd have to speak for you, Tony, on that, but I agree with you, is the fact that Al Snow did not. He's not like Mick Foley where Mick had that whole hardcore edge to it. Al Snow was sort of one of those guys where, okay, let's see how he goes. I'm a demented guy with a mannequin. And he's been out of the ring for so long as well, so that doesn't really help. Mm-hmm. If they really, they could have had Joey Ryan versus Bruce Pritchard, and it would have meant more. But in terms of it, did it get Ryan over? No. Did it get Morgan over? Because, everyone saw what happened with Morgan? No. All it did was just make everyone sit there and go, okay, these guys are aligned. They're together. Mm-hmm. What's next?
Yeah. Wasn't a big fan of that at all.
It made Divas matches look credible. Just saying. And it's not a way to get a guy over who you want to potentially be a star in your company.
And Joey Ryan's got potential. I mean, I'm not going to knock that guy, but it's just...
he's got potential, but...
It's just not a Bound for Glory segment that you should have.
That could have... they could have had it over and done with on Impact.
Right, yeah. Or, you know what, just at one of their other pay-per-views. No Surrender,
But it seems like it was very much television quality in what is supposed to be your big show of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
A simple storyline that could have been addressed on TV. It didn't need to waste, time on your biggest pay-per-view of the year. Maybe they wanted to showcase it on a grand scale.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Joey Ryan has a lot of potential. But this isn't like it's like, oh, this match made Joey Ryan. It's something that's people are gonna forget within like a week or two.
Once he starts feuding with somebody for real.
Yeah, with people who actually matter. Like, that's not a knock on Al Snow. It's just he isn't a person to put over somebody to that next level. Is it a start? Yeah.
No.
But...
It's not even a start, mate. It's a stalled start.
Well, it's still... He can still say he won a match to earn a contract at TNA's biggest show. Like, it's not something huge, but it's something. And
as I said, I would have done a lot more to it. That if that was me, I would have done a hell of a lot more. Right. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, okay, it's a start for the guy," because your career is your first match. You know, when The Rock came in to WWE, he won a Survivor Series. He was the last man standing. Put him over big. You know, after that year, he lost a bit of steam, but he recaptured it. The same goes for any person that makes a debut in a company. They get put over big. Did he get put over big, you know, with his match with Al Snow? No. And it's because of the fact that Snow isn't the guy that you can actually say, you know what? Yeah, that will work with, because it didn't, and it was a last minute thing as well, which made it even worse.
Then we had the tag team championship, Kazarian and Daniels versus Kurt Angle and AJ Styles versus Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez. New tag champs, Guerrero and Hernandez win it. After the match, Guerrero, they were getting kind of a lukewarm, I guess at best, reception,
Yeah, but
and
it's because it wasn't.
he threw out the Eddie Guerrero thing, and this is for Eddie and all that, and I was just, I don't know,
It seemed cheap. I noticed that
yeah,
as well. It seemed like he said it to get the crowd on his side, and it's just like, if you've got to use Eddie's name, your deceased uncle's name, to get you over, then obviously you need to hang your boots up.
right. It just didn't seem right to me.
Nah, neither me.
It would have been different if he would have won the world title or something like that, but no, not. That didn't sit well with me. The match was all right. There's not really too much that I can really talk about. This it got a little annoying during it when they did the typical WWE thing where I hit my finisher or I hit something on you, and then I don't pay attention for 5 seconds while somebody comes up behind me and hits me, then somebody hits them and all that. I hate.
Three amigos, rolling freaking suplexes. It seemed like a bog standard Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero WWE match.
Yeah.
Or Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit. It was very technical. The match worked, and I think all men did what they needed to do. I'm just hoping now that they all just stop feuding with one another. I
Well,
don't mind with Kazarian and Daniels feuding with the tag champs now. I just don't want AJ Styles and Kurt Angle involved in it anymore because it's boring me.
Yeah, they have to stop at
um,
that feud.
is it me or does it seem a little quick to be giving Chavo a title?
It's probably
Yeah,
the
it
same as
is very quick.
what they're doing with Rob Van Dam and Jeff Hardy. It's probably like, you guys come into the company, we're gonna give you a title. Rob Van Dam wasn't in there long enough before he was world champ. Same thing with
Yeah,
Jeff Hardy,
Yeah.
and they can't
Oh, did
give
you
that
notice he had
to.
those like Hogan streamers when he won the bloody championship as well?
Yeah,
Ugh.
but they can't do that with Chavo. So I guess they figured tag title or TV title or X Division, and they just went with the tag thing because, put him with Hernandez.
You know what they're probably going to do? They're probably going to let Van Damme hold the championship now till like the next Destination X pay-per-view, and just have him give the title up for a world title shot.
Nah, I don't think it's gonna last that long. I think he's gonna drop it a pay-per-view or two from now.
We'll see.
But,
For now, it's like with Hogan, it just seems that too many of the Hogan guys are getting pushes, which
yeah,
leaves a very bad taste in my stomach.
except for Bubba Love Sponge.
Well, he's getting a push off a cliff. With guys that should be getting the championship opportunities, guys like Bully Ray, for instance,
Mm.
he more than enough deserves that. I'm going to touch lightly in a bit on a couple of things that pissed me off about this pay per view, but we'll
We'll get to
continue.
that. Yeah, I think I know what you're gonna talk about. First we have to talk about the knockouts. So, Tower
Yay.
wins the championship from Tessmacher.
Very good match, especially for a test marker match.
Hmm. Much better than any WWE Divas match. I say that all the time, but it's true. It's the worst knockouts match is still better than
Every
the best
TNA pay-per-view will provide a better match with female competitors than any WWE match because they just don't give two shits about their division.
right.
Yeah.
At least TNA cares a little bit, maybe not a lot, but
Well,
even that
Pritchard
little bit
doesn't.
is that much more than the WWE does.
Yeah.
Even if it's a little bit of a difference, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, pretty much.
And after the match, Tara had her Hollywood boyfriend character come out, Jesse Goddard from Big Brother. And
Who the
if
hell is this
anybody,
guy? I don't know who he is.
well, if anybody doesn't know, I'm actually a huge Big Brother fan too, and
You are Tony. Our friendship is it's going to be strained.
Big Brother's a reality show that has been on for I think 14 seasons now, and I've watched it from the very beginning. It's the only real reality show that I watch because it's just I find it incredibly fun to watch the people bitch and complain to each other and everything like that, but not in the fake reality aspect. I don't like watching those like the Osbournes and stuff where they set these situations up and they try to film like, oh, we're getting them in the middle of their kitchen when they're arguing.
Or
I
the
don't give,
Jersey Shore, where someone gets off with somebody and ends up pissing themselves.
yeah, like I don't give a shit about that. I like when with Big Brother when you can watch the feeds themselves and see the people live where they actually are fighting with each other and they actually are doing that stuff for real. Uh, but Jesse is one of the people that has been on Big Brother a couple different times, and each time he's been on there, everybody hates him. He's just a very vain, stuck-up douchebag who actually his nickname for himself very early on I think the first season that he was on for Big Brother was Mr. Pectacular.
Oh, for God's sake!
Yeah, he is a giant douchebag, but
Wait,
he
Braden,
has.
isn't that your nickname for yourself?
Hmm?
Your nickname for yourself was Mr. Pectacular, isn't it?
If it was or is, I was not aware it existed.
But for anybody who doesn't follow that show and everything, Jesse actually has said from the first season that he was on that he would want to be a WWE wrestler. So he's dedicated enough that he's not somebody who just got into wrestling this past month. He has been training in I think he trained in OVW for a while when they were doing that as their training camp.
Well,
And
they're the training camp now for TNA, so he's probably going to end up going back there.
right, yeah. So he actually I don't know if he's any good. He probably isn't, but he actually is somebody who legitimately wanted to be a wrestler, and he's like a bodybuilder because of the fact that he hadn't gotten into wrestling and now he's trying to get into it. So, as much of a douchebag as he seems to be, and everybody seems to say that he's a complete douchebag, all the Big Brother people are like, "Oh God, Jesse." But at the same time, you can't fault a guy for trying to do what he wants to do. So I'm curious about what happens there, and a little shout out to Y2J who not only follows Smart Out Moon but also would watch the Big Brother feeds to me, so he knows what I'm talking about.
Why to who?
One of the commenters. He
Ah,
actually watched the same Big Brother feeds that I watch all the time on Justin.tv. So we were talking about both that and the Smart Out Moment stuff. So shout out to
okay.
Y2J. Uh,
And just make sure that you pick up I Got Gameplay when that comes on every Friday night. So we're on episode 2 at the moment. So any person from Smart Out Moment, go over to that channel, youtube.com/I Got Gameplay.
throwing your plug out early, aren't you?
Yeah, I had to plug it while you were talking about that. And it's kind of like reality TV because me and Braden and the guys kind of wing it. Yeah.
Let's talk about the no
Epic.
disqualification match: Aces and Eights against Sting and Billy Ray, or Sting and Billy Ray against what was it, Mike Knox and Luke Gallows?
Kind of. And they had a big reveal going on this. Now, does anybody know what it was similar to? The Sting face paint? The two company guys come into the ring and then the big reveal at the end? Bischoff had some like hand in it before
Mm-hmm.
in WCW. Can anyone answer that question for me? Do you guys out there in YouTube land? There's pretty much similar thing happened. Sting comes out with everyone united in face paint, with Stinger face paint. They wrestle a match, and then someone comes in and betrays them as one of the lead members of this core group. The NWO. Yeah. And this is pretty much it. Sting comes in with Bully Ray, both wearing the damn makeup, and then they have the big reveal at the end, who was Tony.
Devon of all
Devon.
people.
Well, I will be honest and say I actually thought he was unemployed.
Yeah, well played
So-
TNA for that reveal. I have to give him some credit for Devon.
I'll say this about that. I'll give them credit that I did not know that would happen. So I can't say, oh, I saw this fucking coming. I didn't at all.
Yeah, we all
I
thought he
thought,
was unemployed. Like the title was vacated.
right,
We assumed he was gone back down
right, trying to get
to
some backstage
Independence
part
or
with
somewhere
WWE or
else. He
something like
wasn't
that.
working for TNA anymore.
Yeah, I figured that would be, we'd see him pop up backstage role at WWE or something like that, maybe,
Yeah.
or just take time off and retire or something. But so I'll give them credit that I did not see that coming. But, and I'm going to argue this all the time, just because it's a shock doesn't mean that it's good. I don't like the idea. I'm a little bit less angry about that. Well, I'm not really angry. It doesn't really make my life any different. But I'm a little less annoyed about it now that I've read some stuff of people saying that Devon isn't going to be the leader of it. If he's just going to be a member of it, then that's okay.
Now, the thing is, I would have rather him being the leader because if it turns out to be Jeff Jarrett, I'm just going to end up punching someone. Because and I'm putting us on the money here, on the button. Jeff Jarrett is not a main event wrestler, and I don't care how. Yeah, you started TNA. Good on you, mate. Leave the damn company alone. Don't be the head of the Aces and Eights. Don't go after the World Championship because it's going to piss me off.
It's going to be Dixie
Well,
Carter's husband.
And every time it happens, the fans never buy it either, right? So
Yeah. Well, and if Dixie comes in and says that she's the mouthpiece, I'm literally just going to turn it off and say right and forget TNA ever existed. Now, there's a few ways they could have gone with this. I was sort of more excited than Tony was that Devon was revealed as the main focus of Aces and Eights because I believe that Devon, as a wrestler, yes, his TV title reign wasn't that amazing, but nobody's is. I think the only person who's actually having a rather credible title reign is Samoa Joe because he's defending it regularly and he's actually in some good feuds with it. Now, my whole expectation was Devon should be at the same level as Bully Ray, even though he's not. And there's a reason because Bully Ray's a better character. But when they kind of had a bit of an overkill with that segment, he gets revealed and Bully Ray's sitting there crying. Bully Ray beat the living shit out of him for months on end. Why is he sitting there crying that his friend betrayed him?
Right. Why? Why, Devon? Why?
Yeah, why? And it was just like, okay.
It's like,
that was
because you fucking turned on me, you asshole? Like, what do you mean fucking why?
And then the company released me when I was when I was their longest reigning champion in the company.
It's like, you want to ask why? Why do I have the TV title and I don't defend it on TV? That's a why.
Yeah. And this is the thing, right? And the issue that I think we're having with this is that there's not a lot of leeway to go. And I'm thinking with the whole Aces and Eights thing, that would have been good to see if Devon could make it as a big time heel. Because even if he was the leader, he would have all these other guys working with him who someone, if he's not working out, could eventually take his place. Of Ron Simmons and The Rock and the Nation of Domination, it could have easily been done. But instead, they're having him as a member, which makes the reveal less, it takes away the impact from the reveal itself. Now, kudos to them for the reveal, but boo to the fact they had to go to the whole NWO thing. Okay, I know Kevin Nash is probably going to be sitting there going, well, there's not really many stories you can tell. It's like acting. You tell the same story about a million different times. No, that's not right. Because in terms of acting, you have to look at the characters, you have to look at the stories, and you have to look at the delivery. The delivery was great. The reveal was fine. Right? Okay, Bully Ray was a bit overkill. But in advisement, they need to know where they're going to go. They can't sit there and go week by week. Maybe it's going to be Jeff Jarrett. Maybe it'll be Tony Mango as the leader of Aces and Eights.
Shh, they're not supposed to know that yet.
He's the guy with long hair and the biker jacket. Now, the whole issue behind it is they need to have a proper plan in place. That's the way that the story can build, and this is the way that we can get things working. If you have about 5 different plans in place for one story, fine, as long as you have a plan to get you from the beginning to the end of the story.
Yeah, if you're going to have a fork in the road, you need to draw the lines.
Exactly, and putting all this reveal, it's Devon, great. Oh, but he's not the leader. Oh, so you've just basically just fucked yourselves over, and that's what TNA have done. And in regards to the match itself, it wasn't anything great. It was a brawl. It did what it was supposed to do. It got Aces and Eights over. Yes, they're a credible threat for TNA, but there needs to be a payoff, and it needs to come sooner rather than later because this storyline's in danger of getting very stale very quickly.
And it's in danger of becoming the same as what TNA tends to do, where they did it with the Main Event Mafia.
Yeah.
They did it with Immortal, where
Yeah.
they take this idea of a big stable and they don't have a set plan for it, and they just kind of drag it on for a little bit, and then they try to rush 1,000 things, and they change members around, and they change the policy of it around, and sooner or later we're gonna see 8 completely different members of fucking Aces and Eights, and they're gonna be baby faces, and it's just it's got a potential to turn into total shit.
Yeah,
So I hope it doesn't.
The NWO did the same thing. They milked it and milked it and milked it and milked it until the whole thing just became irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
And the most relevant incarnation of the NWO after the initial creation of it was in the WWE because they had common sense to say, okay, it's done.
Yeah, and it's WWE even does it too. They did it with Nexus.
The core, yeah, and the core as well.
The core was pretty much pointless, and CM Punk's version of the Nexus was pointless.
Yeah,
So-
and this is the thing. And even though the Nexus was a great core of individuals, in the end, you have that initial impact, and you have to build upon that. If you create a stable and you say, right, we're going to have these guys and they're going to create an impact, they need to know where they're going, because when they book it from time to time to time, it gets stale very quickly. It turns into a situation where people are just going to stop caring, and that's where the biggest problem lies. And with TNA, they need to be very, very careful, and they need to sit there and think, right, who is going to be the main leader of Aces and Eights? As long as it's not Hogan, Bischoff, as long as it's not anybody in the TNA front office or Bruce Pritchard, then you've got some individuals that could take it. You could say, right, this person is going to be a main eventer, so we're going to put them as a leader of this group, and you have to commit to that.
Robbie T.
Please no. And as long as you've got the commitment, as long as you've got the build, as long as there is a payoff at the end of the tunnel, then it should be a very credible storyline. But TNA, I don't really have much faith in them.
And then the last one, the World Heavyweight Championship, Jeff Hardy beats Austin Aries for the title. Basically the same kind of structure of every main event match that TNA always has.
Right. This is the main problem I have with this. I think everyone knows what the issue is with this. You give this guy a championship, a world championship. He beats the biggest heel in your damn company for this title twice. Okay? What was the next match after he beat Rude? He calls out an Aces and Eights guy. Does that set your world champion up to be a world champion? No. Then he has a feud with Jeff Hardy. Now, with this feud with Jeff Hardy, you expect Aries to go over, don't you? Because you want to build your champion. Build the storyline until Jeff Hardy eventually gets the championship. But no, they give it to Hardy, and then he puts his face back on the fucking belt again.
Mm-hmm.
You people really need to think what you're doing, because you've just killed any momentum that Austin Aries has, and you've killed any momentum that a little guy in the company, a guy of his stature or size, who becomes world championship, has, because you had no faith in him. You've just shown, I've had no faith in this guy, because after you've beaten the biggest heel in the company, who did his job very greatly to get this guy over, you don't feed him anybody. So he's got a month without a challenger. And then the next month, he goes against Jeff Hardy and loses.
Yeah, and then a random heel turn for no reason to lead up into the match. What the fuck is that all about?
Yeah. And it's,
the whole feud with Rude was used to get him over as kind of like the company's next babyface.
And he was
And
the
it
company's
lasted-
next babyface.
Yeah, and then 2 months later he's heel again, and then they're just gonna give the belt to Jeff, and he can be the face of the company. Whatever.
But look at what happened last year with Bound for Glory. We're going to set up Kurt Angle's going to lose to Bobby Roode, and then we have Kurt Angle retain the title and drop it to James Storm the next night, Or the
And
next,
this
not
is
the
the
next night, but
issue.
the next thing. It seems like
This is
Bound
the
for
issue.
Glory, they panic on doing the the stereotypical thing, and they try to go for something different just for the sake of doing something different. But it doesn't matter if it's something different, just the same as it doesn't matter if it's shock value, if it sucks.
Basically, yeah, exactly. That's it. You're too much shoot from the hip booking, and it happens a lot in the WWE as well. You can't keep saying, right, let's throw stuff at a wall and see what sticks. That's not how things work. There has to be a solid plan in place because you need to know where you're going. You can't sit there and say, I want to put the Charlton and Jeff Hardy because we want to make TNA appealing to the guy. This guy has destroyed your world title. The last time he had it, he came into a pay-per-view drunk, off his head, probably on drugs, in the middle of the ring where he had to get held down. You know? And people were chanting bullshit. And then the next minute, he's got the championship again because you're afraid he's going to leave. Oh, let's give in to his demands and let him put his face on the belt again. Devalue the championship even more. I'm sorry, I wouldn't compete for that title. I wouldn't compete for Jeff Hardy's face because if I won that championship, I'd probably put it on the floor and shit on it.
Ratings.
Yeah, exactly. It's
didn't
I would
he
desiccate
change
that title.
since he won? Didn't he change the design of the belt as well?
Yeah, he's changed the design of the belt again back to that. You know that nasty like purple.
Oh no, not the Immortal title. Does
Yeah.
it look like that again?
Yeah.
Oh,
But this time he's got his mouth open, so I could literally shit on it and land on his mouth. And this is the thing. You've got this, and you're literally devaluing your company by giving in to this man's demands. If I was TNA and I was in negotiations with Jeff Hardy, I would have literally just said, see you later. Go to the WWE. If they're stupid enough to take you, and I know for a fact Vince wouldn't put up with half the shit that Jeff got away with in TNA. And they're all saying he's the biggest star and he's going to be the big star and stuff.
The most merch.
Yeah, you know what?
Most ratings. Blah 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 blah.
I could probably sell merchandise in TNA. Literally, I could call myself the one-man defecation band and probably sell T-shirts. And this is what sucks about it. You know, you really got to think about who you're investing your time in, and the fact that you've had a credible champion there, someone that could have, gotten the company over, and then you proved why people should not invest in you by shitting all over this guy's reign. And I don't know what else to say. It was ridiculous. It was piss.
The cherry on top of the proverbial shit cake.
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty much.
Because, and this is why people don't invest in your pay-per-views. This is why people won't spend money to go to your live events, and you're stuck in that fucking shithole Universal trying to get tapings for free because you cannot push your company. In the end, if Eric Bischoff is there booking you for you guys and is not doing a job, he needs to go. If Bruce Pritchard there standing there and is more focused on going on television and talking to people like Al Snow and D'Lo Brown on television when you've got an authority figure like Hulk Hogan there, then he needs to go. If Hulk Hogan's there and he's not pulling his weight and he's collecting $1 million paycheck, which he probably is doing, he needs to go. The end of the day, you need to focus on elevating your talent and promoting your company properly, and you're not doing that, and that's why I lose faith in TNA. And everybody else that sits there and calls me a nihilist or negative about TNA, go fuck yourselves, because literally you are backing a dead horse. If the company changed, then maybe I would actually sit there and watch it. I've given this company chance after chance after chance. I was behind it when the company first started, and you had guys like Joel Gertner in there. You had, guys pushing talent. You had CM Punk in the company at one point. You had Raven and his flock. I was there when the NWA was backing it, even though that's a dead horse. I was there watching the company, and I had faith in this company to actually be something big. When Jeff Jarrett gave himself the belt on 3 different occasions, I was there. When Angle faked that, apparently had freaking drug issues and went over from the WWE to TNA, I was there. The fact is, I've given this company so many chances. I've literally left it for a year and came back to it to try and give it a chance, and you have just shit all over it. And the one person who's there to blame for this is Dixie Carter. Simple fact.
All right, well, that's the TNA pay-per-view review and results. Only thing left to do, talk about some plugs and the show. So So don't forget about the Sign Me Up initiative. If you bring a sign that says Mark Out Movement to any kind of wrestling event, doesn't matter what company, take a picture or record yourself on video, send it to me. I'll put it up on Smack Talk and give you a shout out that way. All right, plugs for you guys. Throw them out there.
www.nerdgenius.com, NERDGENIOUS, and also check out our podcast. I Got Gameplay, part of Fanboys Anonymous, Nerd Genius, and also in affiliation with Smark Out Moment and the Mango Tree, of course.
It's all under the tree.
It is all over the tree. It's the piss of the tree. But we're on episode 2 where we're talking about Suda 51. And guys, if you've got any comments or you feel that I'm wrong about any of my statements of Smark Out Moment, come on the site, leave your comments, discuss with me. And I'm going to eventually, if we get enough good feedback, I'm going to do a live cast and you guys can fire out your questions or swear at me or do what you like. And then I'll answer everything that I can because,
Can I go and curse at you?
Yes, you can. Braden?
As always, just check out my YouTube channel. It's www.youtube.com/moodbeast. I think I've spelled it 3,000 times, so I really don't need to do that again. Check out we've got gaming podcast. Me and Mike basically co-host it. And the most important thing is just keep tuning in on here every week. I think that's definitely the most important thing to plug is the actual show itself. So, because we always have fun doing it.
Yep.
And driving discussion is very important, and I can't stress that enough. Feedback's awesome.
Yeah, we love when you guys comment for us. Then that wraps up episode 51. Thank you guys again for watching. Thank you in advance for watching episode 52. I'm going to try to figure out something special to do with that. If nothing ends up happening, then I apologize, and I'll make it up to you somehow. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out. See you next time, everybody.
Can't you see the smack talks on the wall? This outro's over my head. I'm gonna get wasted and take some drugs. Time is over, my career's gone down. To the toilet, I think I'm Kurt Cobain. But my shudder's insane. I'm Jeff Hardy.